My name's John Passfield, and I'm going to read from my novel Eleonora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings. The title of this reading will be Eleonora Duse Video 13, Duse and George Bernard Shaw. Here's the cover, Eleonora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings, a novel by John Passfield, a photograph of the historical Eleonora Duse. Eleonora Duse spent her whole career producing, directing, and acting in the great female roles of the theatrical repertoire. She claims that when she's not on stage, she does not exist. A poet publishes a novel in which an aging actress's only role is to be a young poet's muse. The publication of the novel is a crisis for Duse, as the fictional portrait of a pathetic, clinging female threatens to fill the void and become her personal myth in the public mind. But her greatest fear is that the imagery of the poet's book will alter the way she thinks of herself. The historical Sarah Bernhardt and the historical Eleonora Duse played the same part in the same play a few days apart in London, England in 1895. The historical George Bernard Shaw reviewed the Battle of the Divas. I have made all three historical characters into fictional characters in this novel. In this novel, the fictional Eleonora Duse makes the Bernard Shaw reviews into a layer of imagery, interpretive imagery, in her mind. I will read the 4 excerpts from the writings of the British reviewer that she considers as she contemplates the other imagery with which she is attempting to interpret her life experience. So, imagery, interpreting imagery. Duse, with her unfailing hold and yet exquisitely delicate touch upon her part in the play, her sleeplessly vigilant sense of beauty of thought, feeling, and action, and her prodigious industry, must be recognized as a supreme athlete of the stage, compared with whom the ranters are weaklings and sluggards. When Duse gives us her best work, we cannot be too emphatic in declaring that it is the best of the best and magnificent, so that our hallmark may be carried through the nations on a piece of sterling gold. So that from Bernard Shaw about Duse's acting. Let's go to page 47, a few pages later. But when Madame Bernhardt gives us pinchbeck plays and acting that is poor in thought and eked out with odds and ends stripped from her old parts, when she rants at us and brings down the house in a London theater, just as she brings it down in a provincial American one, we must tell her that she can do better than that, and that we will have nothing less than her best. When Madame Bernhardt offers us her reputation instead of first-rate acting, we must reply that we give reputations instead of taking them, and that we accept nothing in exchange except first-rate acting down on the counter without a moment's credit. So there's Bernard Shaw on Sarah Bernhardt playing the same role within a few nights in London, England. Let's go to page 78. So we're going from chapter 6 to chapter 10. So these are touchstone images for her. They enter her mind to become images against which she can measure some of the less positive imagery of her life. I doubt whether any of us realized, after seeing Madame Bernhardt's very clever performance as Magda on Monday night, that there was room in the nature of things for its annihilation within 48 hours by so comparatively quiet a talent as Duse's. And yet annihilation is the only word for it. Sarah was very charming, very jolly when the sun shone, very petulant when the clouds covered it, and positively angry when they wanted to take her child from her. But she did not trouble us with any fuss about the main theme of the play. And then lastly, page 81. Duse, on the other hand, with one look at the father, nailed the theme of the play to the stage as the subject of the impending dramatic struggle. Before she'd been 5 minutes on the scene, before long, there came a stroke of acting which will probably never be forgotten by those who saw it, and which explained at once why those artifices of the dressing table which help Madame Bernhardt would hinder Duse almost as much as a screen being placed in front of her. Now, let me read this note. In turbulent times, the fictional character Eleonora Duse clings to the rocks of the positive reviews that she has received. Is it legitimate, then, to ask the following question? Is imagery in a poetic novel ever absolute? Can the reader of such a novel assume that the fictional Eleonora Duse is the better actress because the fictional Bernard Shaw rates her higher than the fictional Sarah Bernhardt? Or do we say that all imagery is not only personal, as the text of this poetic novel is made up completely of imagery which is in the mind of only one of these characters, Eleonora Duse, but that imagery is also subjective? If we think about it, the fictional Eleonora Duse must have read many reviews, perhaps just as many, which rate Bernhardt as a triumphant one in the duel of the divas. In fact, the fictional Eleonora Duse also makes some of the French reviews, those which favor Sarah Bernhardt imagery in her mind. So, what is the point that such imagery is making? What, if anything, allows the reader to judge the accuracy of the main character's evaluations of herself and of her chief rival, if we readers do not know whether the main character accepts the positive reviews and dismisses the negative ones as interpretive imagery, or whether the main character rejects the positive reviews and accepts the negative ones as interpretive imagery? And if we wish to interpret the imagery on behalf of the main character, how do we evaluate George Bernard Shaw as a fictional critic? Or do we say that the poetic novel does not tell us who in the fictional cast is right or wrong, nor even what the fictional characters are thinking, but does illustrate for us the process by which they think? That the main character Eleonora Duse juxtaposes positive and negative reviews of her career to make interpreted imagery I would take to be the fact of the novel. What conclusion she comes to when doing so is not printed in the text of a novel and cannot be ascertained by referring to non-existent interpretive facts, as there are none in the novel. And here we have the difference between the prose novel of explanation and the poetic novel of exploration. Okay, the novel is Eleonora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings, a novel by John Passfield. It's found on Amazon. There's information there. Rocks Mills Press, RocksMillsPress.com. It's my publisher's website. Have a look there for more information. Have a look at johnpassfield.ca, johnpassfield.ca, my website, for more information in the form of a planning notebook in which I work my way through the writing process, and a journal on which I reflect as I'm polishing the rough draft on novel writing in general and poetic novels in particular. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.